Well, I actually kind of fell into drug policy work kind of by accident. I mean, it was something that I had a sort of peripheral interest in, but at the time Transform was set up, and I heard about it, I was actually working for Oxfam in their campaigns department. And my background was actually more in development work. I did my master's in international development. I'd done a research project for the Medical Research Council working in India for a year, and I was working with Oxfam. But I had an interest in drug policy because it did seem like one of those big social policy areas that was in dire need of reform, was rather highly politicised and characterised by sort of multiple injustices and a kind of disdain for evidence-based thinking. And that was very clear to me from my early engagement with politics and social discourse and talking at university and reading the papers and so on. So it was something I was interested in, but I hadn't targeted it as a career option. But when Transform was set up by Danny Kushlik in the late 90s, I was based in Bristol. It was set up in Bristol. I'd had some contact with Danny, and I just kind of fell into it really. But as the issue has grown and changed over the last few years, I found it increasingly fascinating, and the debate has matured, and the reform position has become increasingly accepted and increasingly mainstream. So it feels like we're making progress. So it seems like drug law reform and drug policy reform is one of the last big kind of monolithic social injustices still to be addressed. I mean, some of the things from the last century, be it sort of women's rights or gay rights or workers' rights or sort of some of the key racial issues have been answered both in policy and practice. But drugs, there is this still lumbering political monolithic injustice that still remains to be addressed. So for that reason I find it fascinating, and it's a time of change, so it feels like we're on the cusp of something really important.